tenon, but it's finished off. So what he's doing, the tenon is the faceting. He doesn't have to show it. In arts and crafts furniture, you show it. William Morris showed them sticking out. Here he's showing it, but he's finished it off. So he's using it as a decorative element. And this is a Stickley. These came back into fashion in the 70s. There was a museum exhibition and a couple of books written, and all of a sudden people want, not everybody, but people wanted Stickley furniture. It's heavy, it's dark oak, it's finished, as I said, with a, looking like an unfinished finish. I find it clunky looking, but it's interesting of its time. Who likes it? Okay. No, but people do. I mean, there are raging fans of arts and crafts. But wait till you see the last thing. And you will also see this similar aesthetic in Frank Lloyd Wright, because we're also talking around the same time. But according to Frank Lloyd Wright, he never saw anybody as anything. He never was influenced by anybody. Now, I don't say he was influenced by Stickley. He was influenced by some of the German architects. I'm calling your attention to this hardware that you saw similar treatment on a piece by Voisey that I showed you last week. And Voisey was an arts and crafts or aesthetic movement designer. So the idea of using the hardware as a decorative motif he wasn't the one who discovered it exclusively, but you see this was part of what you did in arts and crafts design. This is a Stickley bookcase. All these are Gustav Stickley. This is a piece by Harvey Ellis, who did more decorative, a little more sophisticated pieces for Stickley. Now this reminds me, we're going to say later, we're going to see next week, the kind of ornament that Charles Rennie Mackintosh used. So there are a couple of designers who are either classified arts and crafts or Art Deco, not Art Deco, arts and crafts or Art Nouveau, depending on who's writing the book. Sometimes they're very difficult to put in any one period or a little box. The kind of ornament, hammered copper objects were part of arts and crafts, and there were a lot of, I told you in England, I think there were a lot of societies formed that went really for a long time, lasted in England. In America, there were a number of arts and crafts organizations. This is the catalog of craftsmen workshops, and this, we see these around, this is leather topped and brass hammered, brass nail heads all around it. Again, you see the tenon sticking out. That's not necessary. It's sticking out deliberately, so they're saying this, somebody put this together. Now, you never have anything exposed. Everything is supposed to be put by invisible hands. Roycroft Colony, run by Elbert Hubbard, who was a disciple of Anne Rand's, incidentally. This is another one of the arts and crafts societies. There were several of them. If we had an arts and crafts class, we'd go through all of them. But there were several. They were communities. They were a little bit, not like Esalen, but a little bit touchy-feely. You get out into the country. We're going to make our own furniture. The Shakers were truly a religious group. These weren't religious. These were sort of wanted to go, though, back to simpler life. And as I said, not moral like the arts and crafts people, but they lived, they made their stuff, they sold their stuff, they supported themselves on the basis of their crafts work. These are the people who, if you admire arts and crafts furniture, this is the furniture that you would admire. If you don't admire the other, Charles Sumner Green, Charles and Henry Mather Green were both German expatriates, brothers who partnered for a while. I can't remember. Henry went off to be an artist. But in the meantime, they built houses in Pasadena. The most famous one is the Gamble House. You've heard of Procter & Gamble, who made ivory soap.